So sociologist Eboo Patel once said, "Bridges don't fall from the sky, and they don't rise from the ground. People build them." When I first took office in January of last year, I made it my personal mission to knock down any walls that could prevent Gardner from seeing its full potential. And instead, I wanted to focus on creating pathways or bridges to get us from where we were in the past to where we are today and move us to the future. So today I want to talk to you about building bridges. Bridges in their natural form carry something over an obstacle to a desired destination. Metaphorically speaking, bridges help us get across challenges or barriers to reach new opportunities. And symbolically, bridges represent connection of someone or something to achieve a mutually desired outcome. It also represents progress, the act or decision to move forward. So last year, we really placed an emphasis on building bridges. For one, we build bridges of cooperation with our employees and with our partners. Our employees, as I have said now on several occasions, are our greatest asset. And this administration has dedicated substantial energy to transforming the culture of our organization from the inside out to enhance our employees' work experience in an effort to retain the best and brightest individuals. We implemented 3 T's within our organization, and this was done in no small part to the efforts of Laura Gorley. Trust, transparency, and teamwork, with a customer service focus centered on a we serve ethic. We actually have plaques that say "We serve" hanging in every single office and every single vestibule of our city offices to remind us all that we do serve. That is our number one priority. We're rewarding employees now for their above and beyond customer service through our new Relentlessly Positive and Professional, or RPP, Customer Service Awards program. In short, we believe that if we continue to foster our efforts in these areas, employees will feel valued and stay committed to our organization. One of the areas that we've had some issues with in the past was intergovernmental cooperation. Our relationships with other agencies and governmental entities have also been impacted by our effort to build bridges of cooperation. With our renewed service-focused mindset, we have bettered our partnership with the Southwest Johnson County Economic Development Corporation, as evidenced by Mr. Martinet, the Gardner Edgerton School District, Johnson County Fire District 1, Gardner Edgerton Chamber of Commerce, the Kansas City Area Development Council, Johnson County, the Kansas Department of Transportation, and the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority. In short, these relationships have produced substantial fruit. Last year, we worked with our partners in securing $105 million of private investments. Let me say that again, $105 million in 1 year of private investments, opening the doors to 13 new businesses who have opened or are set to open soon, including this one right here, the Hampton Inn. Excelligence Learning Corporation, who's having a groundbreaking next week. Scooters, First Point Urgent Care, Belfonte Car Wash, Gardner Office Park, Enterprise Leasing, Planet Sub, CVS, and the list goes on. Just last month, we kicked off the groundbreaking of our new Olathe Health Urgent Care and Multi-Specialty Center. Thank you very much to Mike Jensen and to Stan Holm, who are spearheading that project. It'll be a tremendous asset to all residents living in the Southwest Johnson County area, not just Gardner. And Olathe Health is already preparing for future expansions to ultimately create an all-inclusive medical campus, the first, by the way, in Gardner since 1990. And I believe that, ladies and gentlemen, is worth some applause. Thank you. With this welcome business growth, approximately 460 jobs were added to our local workforce, which also increased the need for additional housing. Just last year, we added 135 new single-family housing units, valuing at nearly $34 million. So building bridges of cooperation also includes building literal bridges, and we're doing that with $9 million of KDOT funding to start work on Phase 1 of the long overdue I-35 and Gardner Road interchange project. A diverging diamond will be constructed, and we will replace the existing Gardner Road bridge over I-35 with a new structure. This project opens the doors to more developments such as business offices, hotels, restaurants, housing, and I think I got the permission from Pastor Rick to say this, a new 2,500-seat sanctuary for New Life Community Church, and I think that's worth celebrating as well. So, thank you. Speaking of long overdue projects, we will finally start seeing improvements being made to Waverly Road in the form of $1.5 million in funding through the Johnson County CARS program. These improvements will help accommodate the increasing traffic, provide our kids a safer route to schools, and support future development, such as the Waverly Plaza development that Bristol Group's going to be doing that was just approved by the council last month. This nearly 17-acre mixed-use development, by the way, located at the northeast corner of Waverly and Santa Fe, will include multifamily housing as well as 60,000 square feet of retail comprised of restaurants, medical, financial, and service businesses. This project, when completed, will consist of over $25 million of private investment and bring much desired commercial development to the west side of our community. And thank you very much to the Villalobos, too, who are making that possible. Thank you. And we continue to actively and aggressively pursue development on the east and south sides of I-35. We have projects right now underway that I cannot mention details on. We will have details on those very soon. And finally, because we continue to build bridges of cooperation, Gardner has a greater presence in the larger vision of the metro region. Stakeholders throughout the Kansas City area know beyond a doubt that we are business-friendly and open to development. We're also building bridges of accessibility. We are on the right track towards creating a more accessible downtown. We completed our Main Street corridor study that positions us to prepare for future growth, housing, transportation, and utility demands of our downtown area. We also received additional grant money for the implementation phase of the Main Street corridor plan that will set in motion the revitalization of our downtown, improve walkability and connectivity, and make major and long overdue ADA improvements. Not only will this help beautify our Main Street corridor, but it will also help us attract businesses, give us a sense of place, and unify our diverse community. Speaking of unification, this is something that's always been at the nearest and dearest point of my heart. When I ran for mayor a couple of years ago, I went under the tagline, United We Rise, and I always have felt that way. A unified community is a strong community. And in that vein, we are building bridges of understanding. I'm talking about personal relationships. We may have been known as the city where the trails divide, but that does not mean our community has to be divided. We know some of the decisions of the past created an impression that Gardner is not business-friendly, and those decisions created a divide with our community. But to stay in line with our theme, I have to say, as of now, that is all water under the bridge. As Gardner embarks on the most active construction season the city has ever experienced, it is time for the city to come together. We all have an opportunity to be ambassadors for our community. I know we are a service-oriented city. We also are a compassionate and helpful community. I see it every day when I see our residents helping one another find a lost pet, or someone has experienced a tragedy, and folks in our community step up and support them. You also showed your heart of service as a community when you voted to support the issuance of general obligation bonds for financing a much-needed Gardner Justice Center to house our law enforcement and municipal court services. It is precisely because of this culture of generosity that I was inspired to create the Gardner Samaritan Fund and Project. And I believe you have some cards there on their table. This volunteer-staffed and funded program will be managed by a civic board that will also determine guidelines for its use. Its primary goal is to meet the needs of our residents by pairing those in need with organizations and volunteers that can help them the most. If you want to help, you can scan the QR code on the flyers at your seats, or you can go to www.gardnersamaritanproject.org, which is a website that is active as of today. We are on track to launch this project in the fall. And if you know folks within the volunteer community or within the faith-based community who might be interested in doing something with us, please let them know that we are there and we're going to be pulling this together. So I know our community is comprised of not just team players, but role players. People who want to see our community succeed and can be positive advocates for our citizens. Gardner, today I am making a call to action for all of you that call this city home. Examine what you can do individually as well as collectively to make Gardner a greater culture of community, diversity, and unity. This creates a strong foundation for our city that cannot be shaken. I share all of this because a united city, as I said before, is a healthy city. A healthy city welcomes growth, development, supports our new businesses and our growing population, and it goes hand in hand with the prosperity of our city. Lastly, I want to speak about the bridges that are being built from the past to the future. Our community itself was founded by pioneers who faced many difficulties, whether poor traveling conditions or food shortages, to pursue a better way of living. They risked it all to move to uncharted territory. And once they laid their stake here, they had to figure out how to make things work. From transportation to commerce, they had to take care of all the logistics required to make this a livable and incorporated city. Why did they do it? Or how did they do it? Well, they were innovators. They faced difficulties and resource issues, but they built bridges across those barriers and devised solutions. It took some time, but we know that they succeeded because we are here today where they once trod. We must have that same pioneer spirit. We must be willing to do things differently, to be innovators, to create new best practices that other cities want to follow. For those of you who were at my State of the City address last year, I spoke of the need, not just the ambition, but the need to be a trend setter and not a lead follower. We must be the best practice, not just follow it. We must step out of the box and be open to new approaches to moving our city to the next level of cooperation, synergy, and growth. Gardner, we're gearing up for something big. Something that will help advance our community by diversifying our tax base, creating more jobs, constructing more homes, improving our infrastructure, and much, much more. Will we face difficulties? Difficulties of resource issues or rules or practices or the impact of decisions from the past? Absolutely we will. But you know what we'll do? We'll continue to build bridges. Bridges to cross those barriers to the implementation of new practices, and bridges to connect us to new resources or new ideas, and building bridges to continue to develop relationships, because relationships are the key. Gardner was established through relationships where they worked together through the challenges. And we will continue to build relationships with our citizens, employees, community partners, developers, and stakeholders to keep Gardner thriving and prosperous. Thank you very much.
Why is the City of Gardner a great place to live? If you look at the diversity in our programs and everything that we offer, from special events for teens, to senior programming, to micro soccer for 4-year-olds, there's something for everybody when you come to our town. In order for those programs to be successful, we rely heavily on outside agencies to participate with us in hosting events and programs throughout the city. Some of those agencies would be USD 231 in our partnerships with tween programs, also Fire District 1, who attends our events for safety purposes, and we also have partnerships with the Johnson County Fair Association and Vintage Aircraft Association. As the city will continue to see residential and commercial growth in the coming years, we will also see expansions with our trail system, playgrounds, and infrastructure within the City of Gardner. We're excited that we're going to be building our first trail this year, which is the Kill Creek project, in conjunction with Johnson County and grant funding. We also are excited to update our park master plan that hasn't been done in almost 10 years. This is exciting news because it provides connectivity throughout neighborhoods, safe routes to schools, and quality of life for our residents.
The City of Gardner is lucky enough to have two very good projects going on at the same time. At the south end of our community, along the I-35 Gardner Road interchange, we currently have a KDOT project that's going to bring in about $10 million worth of improvements that's going to be utilized to help project and improve the businesses of the area. We have a large medical facility currently underway down there, several hotel projects, and economic development projects that have other restaurants and convenience stores throughout the region waiting for this project to be completed. The City of Gardner was lucky enough to obtain a secondary grant for our Main Street Corridor program this year. In that program, we're actually narrowing down the processes and the implementation aspects of what will be built in our corridor. The program itself has to do with the walkability, bikeability, and ADA aspects of our corridor. The business community in and of itself continues to grow and be very viable in this area. This is an opportunity for us to take advantage of the transportation issues that we have and correct them.
One area where we've tried to really be proactive with our public outreach is dealing with people facing mental illness or addiction issues. The International Association for Chiefs of Police developed the One Mind campaign. Gardner was the first agency in Johnson County to pledge to meet the 4 elements of that campaign. The first one was to develop a sustainable relationship with a mental health facility in the community, which we have done. Second was to develop and implement a policy so that officers were better prepared to deal with issues when they face them on calls for service that are related to mental illness. The third was to get 100% of our officers trained in mental first aid. The final element of the pledge is to have at least 20% of our officers trained in crisis intervention training. Another program that we developed to improve our public outreach was our women's self-defense class. And historically, women's self-defense was always jabs or pokes in the eye and techniques to disable long enough for you to escape. But what we found is that a lot of attacks, the victim will get knocked to the ground. So we've incorporated a ton of ground fighting techniques and giving women the ability to defend and neutralize the situation on the ground so that they can escape. And our most popular class, and they fill up really quickly, is with moms and their daughters, and they have a great time. They learn a ton, and it's a great way for us to connect with that segment of the community. It's been a great success, and it's something we're going to continue. We're building bridges through public outreach.
We are building bridges through community involvement.
We're building bridges through economic development.